You're probably sitting on this box. I'm not sitting because there's enough stuff.
And how do I introduce once again full plan again? Guys, can you clear the stage? והם יכולים לשים פוסטר בכל שורות לשים את זה על בלי שזה יישב, You will? Hi. Okay, I have both sides. Sorry. Meeting. No. I'd like to just write that out. Did you hear all the lines? Okay. So, what you need to know is after the second song of Vigil, I'll be writing.
Not music. גרשלי. מה זה? זה קשור אליי גם? את יוצאת מהדלת הזאת, הולכת ימינה ותמצאי. כן. חזק, הדלת. הימניות השמאלית נראה לי. Sleep.
Guys, we will start. If you want to like sit down, try and sit, I guess, more forward so the room would look less empty. And we'll start in a couple of minutes.
No worries at all. It's been a busy week for us. I've been in Scotland now. Had 50 shootings together. We had both Belfast and Dublin. That was it. Had a hard time with Europe. But a few of the shootings were the ones that got back and said something.
Okay. I think we can start. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nivi Feldman. Can you hear me okay? My name is Nivi Feldman. I lead the Hostages and Missing Families Forum in the UK. It's been a long 15 months. Today we are gathered here in this beautiful cross-communal vigil to thank God for the release of 11 hostages this week. Today wouldn't have been possible without the support of JFS and all of the organizations you see behind me that really made today happen. And it's an honor that in those difficult times, at least, we can shine a light on unity and come all together behind this really important cause of the hostages and bringing them home. Hopefully, we will keep this part of the event to about 40 minutes, and then we'll go to the second, we'll have a short break, and we'll go to the second part of the discussion. I just wanted to mention that it is so special to welcome home Arbel, and Agam, and Keith, and Gadi, and Yarden, and Ofer, and the Thai citizens, Serion Wachara, Siathu Bananwath, Tiana Pongsak, Lamnau Surasak, and Satyan Sunwakan. We've made cards that we're going to send to each and every one of them, and everyone that is present is welcome to go and just sign and just say with love, with your name, or we're happy you're back, or whatever you feel. It is such a joy to be able to send them something, to know that we've been thinking about them for 15 months. So without further ado, start.
Israel and Hamas are exchanging more hostages and prisoners today as part of the ceasefire deal in Gaza. Agam Berger, the first of the 3 Israeli hostages released today, is now back in Israel after being handed over to the Red Cross in northern Gaza. 110 Palestinians in Israeli custody are also being released today. This whole exchange is the third since the start of a ceasefire nearly 2 weeks ago.
אנחנו פה ולא עוזבים אותך לעולם, לנצח. הבטחה של אימא, הבטחה של אימא.
After the emotional reunions, the returned captives will undergo an initial medical assessment. The careful planning of their admittance, hospital treatment, and continued care in the community has been cultivated over the past year, incorporating lessons learned from the previous events, including those over the past 10 days. Today, we are reunited with Agam, Gad, Arbel, and 5 Thai citizens whose name will be published later, after 482 days in inconceivable condition in the captivity. The Ministry of Health and the entire healthcare professionals, together with all Israel, are profoundly moved by the return home and are doing everything possible to provide them with a comprehensive, meticulous, and compassionate system of support. We hope for the returns of all the remaining captives.
I would like to introduce Julian Pollard. He's the deputy for Magen Avot United Synagogue to speak about Agam Berger.
Thank you. Thank you, Nivi. For more than a year, my community, Magen Avot in Hendon, has been supporting For more than a year, my community, Magen Avot in Hendon, has been supporting, as you can see from the poster here, Nama Levi and Amma Berger. And we're not the only community to do so. I'm reminded this evening that Finchley Federation have also been doing so to very good effect. No one has been more determined or persistent in bringing to the public attention the plight of the hostages, especially Agam, than our own member, Chaya Langerman. She has promoted vigils and demonstrations, she has hosted families of hostages, and offered consolation to the families of victims. Her commitment has been truly outstanding, inspiring, and charismatic. She has enabled us to meet and support those affected by this trauma, but she's unable to be here tonight, and I can do no better than read her own words to this assembly. She says, "Dear friends, tonight our hearts are full as we welcome home Agam Berger. After months of captivity, she returns to us not just as a survivor, but as a symbol of strength, faith, and kindness. Magen Avot adopted Agam a year ago in January 2024, and from that moment, she became part of our family. Every week we said prayers for her. We heard from her family and friends, and we supported the many chesed projects that her mother, Merav, initiated. Projects that spread Agam's light in the world, even when she was not physically with us. Through this journey, Chaya says, I had the privilege of getting to know Agam's incredible family, a family whose unshakable faith and resilience were a source of inspiration to us all. Her mother never stopped fighting for her, and she did so with love, kindness, and with action. Instead of being consumed by pain, she returned it into chesed. ensuring that every good deed done in Agam's name strengthened her and brought us closer to this moment, her return. And now Agam is finally home. Throughout her captivity, she remained true to herself. She kept Shabbat. She held on to her spirituality and optimism and continued to be the giver she has always been. She is someone who always puts others first and whose every essence is about maximizing good deeds and spreading kindness. Even in her most difficult moments, she thought of those around her. A talented violinist, Agam's music has always reflected her warmth, her hope, her deep connection to something greater. It is that strength of spirit that sustained her through the ordeal, and it is the same light that she now brings back with her. We are in awe of your resilience, we are humbled by your strength and your values, and we are grateful that you are finally home. But our prayers do not stop here. We continue to stand with those who are still waiting. We will not stop until every hostage is brought home. Welcome home. Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian, so much for your words. Agam was 19 when she was abducted from Nahal Oz with the other 5 lookouts that were just recently returned. 4 of them were recently returned. 1 was returned in the beginning of the war. I would like now to invite Marie van der Zeel, past president of Board of Deputies, and she's here to represent West London Synagogue. She's going to speak about Arbel Yehud, 29 years old, kidnapped from Nir Oz on 7th of October.
Arbel was 28 years old when she was kidnapped with her boyfriend from kibbutz Nir Oz on the 7th of October. We know that her family had very deep roots in the community, and she was there for the 3rd generation. She was involved in education, and before she was kidnapped, she worked for Groove Tech, and this was an innovative company specializing in space exploration, a happy young girl. She's been held in the harshest of conditions, in dark tunnels, with only salt water, and was clearly malnourished, petrified. When we saw last week the video with Gadi Moses, that was the first time that she had seen a human being. She has been treated extremely harshly. When she was released, we saw the chaotic, traumatic scenes, a frail, malnourished woman surrounded literally by a mob, spitting, throwing insults, even in her very last moments of captivity. And this is an ordinary lady, a civilian. And her first words when she was released, I'm told, were that she had never felt so lonely. And when we see that barbaric scene, we know her recovery is probably going to be long, and our hearts are there with us. And at West London Synagogue, prayers have been said for her and Emily Damari every week. There have been numerous sermons, fundraisings, initiatives, and at Simchat Torah, for the first time in the history of West London Synagogue, there was a silent hakavot. No one can be closer in our hearts to the suffering that Arbel has had to endure, and we only hope that the future for her can be bright, and we will all be in solidarity with her. Am Yisrael Chai.
On Thursday, Arbel was freed, but her boyfriend and his brother, Ariel and David Cunyo, are still in captivity. For over 484 days, they're in captivity. And until they're all back, our hearts won't be in a place that it can start heal. Hamas can free them anytime they want. The 5th day since 7th of October, they freed 2 hostages, and on day 17, they freed another 2 hostages without a deal for humanitarian reasons. After 15 months in captivity, they're all in dire risk of dying. They all need to come back home. So with this, let's all pray together with the beautiful singing of Yuval Chavkin. Thank you.
You're welcome to join me.
שיר למעלות, אשא עיניי אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי, עזרי מעם השם, עושה שמיים וארץ, אל יתן למוט רגליך, אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל, השם שומרך, השם צילך, על יד ימינך, יומם השמש לא יככה וירח בלילה, השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, השם ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה ועד עולם.
Gadi Moses was kidnapped at 79 years old from kibbutz Nir Oz on 7th of October. We've seen a sign of life of him, 28th of November, alongside of Omri Miran. His hands were tied behind his back, and already then he seemed really frail and suffering. I want to invite Dalit Chaim from Lauderdale Road, Sephardi and Portuguese synagogue, to tell us a bit about him.
More than 480 days after he was kidnapped outside his home on kibbutz Nir Oz, Gadi Moses was released from captivity on Thursday. Lauderdale Road was honored to have saved a seat for Gadi in our synagogue, and we look forward to welcoming him and his family to be embraced by our kahal. Gadi is known in his kibbutz as a peace activist who advocated for Palestinian rights and peace. On that dark day in October, he even tried to bargain with terrorists as they demanded money from him and the keys to his car before abducting him, doing all he could to protect his family hiding in the safe room of his house. He's a renowned potato expert who frequently lectured on agriculture and is a founding member of the kibbutz's vineyard and helped maintain its community vegetable garden. Speaking last year, his granddaughter Shani described him as strong because she said he's 79 years old but acts like a 7-year-old boy. Shani said he'd climb to the top of a tree to give her an orange that's stuck up there. He's a grandfather for 10 grandchildren, yes, but he's also like our little brother, Shani said. Shani said she admires her grandfather because she can laugh with him and talk about anything, but she also learns from him. My grandfather really loves drinking wine, and he makes wine, actually. And all I want is for him to come back, and him and I to sit and talk about life and drink a glass of wine, Shani said. Yesterday, some details of his captivity were made public by family members to the Israeli press. For some 70 days of his captivity, Gadi was in complete isolation, locked alone in a dark room. He was moved between several apartments over the course of the war and was not held in the tunnels. He told his family that throughout the 15 months, He was never with any other hostages. The first Israeli he met was Arbel Yehud, as they were brought together just a few days ahead of their joint release. Gadi knew that his longtime partner, Efrat Katz, had been murdered during the attack, and he mourned her. But he did not know what happened to his daughter, Moran, until he had been freed. Moran did survive and met him on Thursday when he was returned. For much of his time in captivity, he was held in a room of 2 square meters, in which he regularly paced up and down, clocking in up to 7 kilometers a day, counting the tiles on the room floor and solving math problems in his head to try to keep his mind sharp. Moses described the chaotic handover on Thursday as moments of mortal fear and said he worried that he and Arbel would be lynched by the mob around them. Amazingly, Channel 12 Israel said that Gadi told his captors that when the war ends and there's peace, he hopes to come back to Gaza and teach them how to farm. In a separate report by Channel 13 News, Gadi told relatives how encouraged he was to see the weekly demonstrations calling for the hostages' release. The few times I was able to see television, you don't know how much it strengthened me to see the rallies on Saturday evenings and to understand that the nation is fighting for us in our return home, he was quoted as saying. We're going to continue to fight for all of our brothers and sisters held in captivity.
The attack on 7th of October wasn't only aimed at Israelis or Jewish people. It was aimed on anyone in Israel, whether they were Jewish or Hindu or Muslim. In Gaza, we had 5 different religions kidnapped and over 22 nationalities. I would like to invite Sami Berkov. She's the president of UJS to speak about the Thai citizens released this week.
Today, we stand here together to honor the resilience of 5 individuals, Pongsak Thayana, Sathyan Sawanakam, Wachara Sriawan, Banawet Siatho, and Sarasek Lamno, who, after enduring unimaginable hardship, have finally returned from Hamas captivity. On October 7th, 2023, their lives and livelihoods were torn, taken hostage from their workplaces and homes in Kibbutz Nir Oz by terrorists. They were thrust into a world of fear and uncertainty. For nearly 16 months, they lived in captivity, separated from their homes they had been taken from and unable to speak to loved ones in Israel, Thailand, and beyond. These simple freedoms we too often take for granted. Their families waited in anguish, not knowing if they would ever see their loved ones again. But January 30th, 2025 will be a date their families and friends will celebrate for eternity, the day of their release and their homecoming. A day that, like every day that hostages are released or freed, should remind us all of the power of hope, perseverance, and unity. Sathyan, Wachara, Pongsak, Sarasak, and Banawat are free. Their journey back is a testament to the tireless efforts of those who never gave up, and their families who kept their voices strong. While we celebrate their return, we also acknowledge the pain that lingers. The scars, both seen and unseen, do not disappear overnight. We must continue to support them as they rebuild their lives, find their way back to a sense of normalcy, and reclaim what was taken from them. Let us also remember those who are still waiting, those still held against their will, their families torn apart and kept separate by the barbaric terrorist Hamas, and the psychological as well as physical impact of not just those taken, but every circle around them. May we continue to speak out, to demand justice, and to work towards a world where no one has to endure such an ordeal. The Union of Jewish Students, along with the rest of the Jewish community, will not stop campaigning till each and every hostage is returned. Tonight we stand together, not just in reflection, but in unity. We welcome home Sathyan, Wachara, Pongsak, Sarasak, and Banawat with open arms and open hearts. we reaffirm our commitment to peace and freedom, never forgetting their suffering. As Wachara Sriyan's father expressed, my hopes were 50-50. I didn't know if he would survive or not. Now that he's coming back, I'm so happy. Thank you.
To help us lift our spirits a little bit, I'm just inviting Yuval to sing for us Od Avinu Chai.
Od Avinu Chai. You can tap. You're welcome to tap with your foot. Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, 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 Am Yisrael Chai. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael 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 Chai.
7th of October specifically affected the UK. We had 10 UK-linked citizens taken into Gaza. We had 2 UK citizens. We had Nadav Popplewell, who was murdered in captivity. And we had Emily Damari, that thank goodness came 2 weeks ago back from Gaza into freedom. We still had until today, 8 UK-linked citizens in Gaza. And today, Keith Siegel, who has several cousins in London, has been released. I would like to introduce Nikki Jackson from Edgware and Hendon Reform Shul. No, sorry, I would like to introduce Sharon and Jeremy Garson from Edgware and Hendon Reform Shul to speak about Keith Siegel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Garson, and this is Jeremy, my husband. Keith was our adopted hostage at Edgware and Hendon Reform Synagogue, and we have had, the same as lots of other shuls, a chair for him, and we have said prayers for him every week since October the 7th. Jeremy and I were very fortunate to have gone on a trip to Israel at the beginning of December with our shul, where we visited so many places, but including in particular, we went to Kibbutz Kfar Aza, where Keith and his wife Aviva were taken on October the 7th. A man who was 64 years old and his wife. She was fortunate to have been released in November 2023 in the first release, but Keith wasn't. Keith came out today, so we don't know very much about how he's been, other than we saw he's very frail. This picture of him was taken a few days before October the 7th at his daughter Shir's engagement party. And again, when we were in Israel, we did Havdalah in Hostages Square, and we met his daughter Shir, the first Shabbat we were there, and the second Shabbat we met his brother Lee. During that time in that week, Keith's mother passed away in America, and he wasn't able to obviously go to be with the family, and he knew nothing about it at the time. But meeting Shir and his brother Lee was the most emotional time. I don't know how any of these families have been able to carry on. When we were in Kfar Aza, where Keith was taken from, also Emily Damari, was very, very emotional We walked around, we saw how they were taken. They were very specific. It was very, very horrific and very hard. But it's amazing. He's now back, and Shir, his daughter, has been waiting to get married so he can walk her down the aisle. Baruch Hashem, that happens as soon as he is well enough and able. Thank you very much.
Please God for all the other hostages and Am Yisrael Chai.
Another fact, just if you want to look at Keith and Aviva, they were kidnapped to Gaza, like so many others, in their own car. We're so looking forward to seeing them. Next, I would like to invite Nikki Jackson from Shema Masorti Shul to speak about Yarden Bibas, who was kidnapped at 34 years old, with his wife Shiri, and their son Zariel, who was 4, and Kfir, who was 9 months, from Kibbutz Nir Oz on 7th of October.
I want to start with Yarden's message to the world as he left Gaza this morning. It was written on a whiteboard from the helicopter, and he wrote, "Ani moda lekol am Yisrael al hatmicha." I want to thank all the Jewish people for their support. Shamati, I'm going to do it in English, my glasses aren't good enough. I've heard from my family that you've been fighting for me, and I want you to say thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I don't take it for granted. Happy birthday, Grandpa. We know Yarden as dad to Ariel and Kfir and husband to Shiri, and we know that he's from Nir Oz and he's 35 years old. He's a welder. He loves music, stand-up comedy, and his family and friends talk about him as good-humored, sensitive, and caring. We know that on the 7th of October, he was brutally attacked by Hamas and separated from Shiri, Kfir, and Ariel and taken to Gaza. And we know that last year he was told by Hamas that his children and wife were killed in an Israeli airstrike. But we don't know that that is true. It's not been verified by the IDF, although they have expressed great concern for the well-being of Shiri and the children. But until we know this for sure, we must continue to hope against all hope that there is still a possibility that this beautiful family will be reunited. Watching his release today, the hugs and the tears, we all felt his bittersweet agony. How can a man heal when there is so much pain and uncertainty? The Bibas family plight has become one of the strongest symbols of brutality that we have seen. We all feel their pain so deeply. We hope and we pray for their safe and speedy return. But we are not Yarden, and we know that his pain is infinitely greater than ours. There is pain in him knowing the truth and pain of him being kept in the dark. And I just want to end by reading a statement issued by Yarden's family, which I know we will all respect. They say, "Please protect Yarden's heart. Respect his privacy and the privacy of the family in the coming time. We love you, dear people of Israel, and our amazing supporters from all over the world. Am Yisrael Chai."
And with that, let's pray again with Yuval for our brothers and sisters to come out of captivity, to be safe. Yuval.
And you're welcome to join me again. I'm sure you all sing it every Shabbat at Shul. Acheinu kol Beit Yisrael, Acheinu כל בית ישראל הנתונים בצרה ובשביה, העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה. אחינו כל בית ישראל, אחינו כל בית ישראל הנתונים בצרה ובשביה, העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה. המקום ירחם עליהם ויוציאם מצרה לרווחה, ומאפלה לאורה, ומשעבוד לגאולה שתם בגלה ובזמן קריב. המקום ירחם לרווחה, ומאפלה לאורה, ומשעבוד לגאולה שתם בגלה ובזמן קריב.
Just before we speak about the last hostage tonight that was released, Ofer Calderon, let's just watch a video of him coming out today. So that's Ofer seeing his 4 kids today for the first time. He just told his son they're going to go ride bicycles a lot together. And now he's meeting his partner for the first time. Sorry, his brother. His brother is telling him, you're not going to go anywhere now. He's asking him, are you okay? How are the kids? How is your wife? And he's telling him, did I need to go all the way to Gaza for you to cry? So, Ofer Calderon, 53 years old, kidnapped from the Oz on 7th of October. I would like to introduce Paul Flanagan from Oak Lane Reform Synagogue to say a few words about him.
Good evening, everyone. This is Ofer Calderon. I'm holding his picture here because it's been a constant in our shul during all this time. On the 7th of October, he was, like so many people, at home with his family in Kibbutz Nir Oz. When the attackers came, they went to the shelter. Initially, he got away with 2 of his children and ran into the fields, but they were caught and brought back and captured. Thankfully, his 2 children were released a couple of months later, and he's been held all this time, so long that he's marked his last 2 birthdays in captivity. So he's got some celebrating to catch up on. All this time, he's been in a place of honor in our shul, remembered in all our prayers, present at every simcha, and remembered in every online Zoom service and meeting. It's been almost 500 days that he's been held in captivity. When you think about a new year, which we've just started a month ago, it seems like such a long time. It's only 365 days, almost 500 days he's been held now. We see there that his family are now reunited and able to carry on. Our hope must be now for the release of the remaining hostages, and that everyone, those already released and those yet to be released, will be able to live their lives without too much of a shadow from these terrible events. That's certainly what we'll be thinking of and praying for all this time. Thank you. Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you so much, Paul. Tomorrow is going to be the 16th day since the agreement of this phase of releasing hostages has started. And tomorrow is when Israel and Hamas are due to start negotiating on the next phase of releasing all the men that are under 50. And the 3rd stage of releasing all the bodies. We know there's at least 36 bodies in Gaza. I'm asking you to pray for them, not to forget them. And I'm asking our country, England, David Lammy, Keir Starmer, please bring all the hostages home. Don't let them back out from a deal. A deal is the only way to release and bring all the hostages back home safely. All the speakers today that spoke about the hostages were representatives of synagogues that, a part of the campaign of Board of Deputies, adopted a specific hostage or 2 to pray for. Each hostage is a whole world, a whole universe that is missed dearly by their family. It's a whole universe that needs saving. So take one name, learn one story, and advocate for them. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum here in England, we've been supporting hostage families that came here. We've organized for them to meet communities and the press and as many MPs as possible, so they can really understand how urgent it is for the hostages to come home, how humanitarian it is. You don't need to be right or wrong to know that a baby that was kidnapped at 9 months shouldn't have been kidnapped and should be returned without any terms. Or his 5-year-old brother. Or the oldest hostage that is in there today, Shlomo Mansour, at 86. He's already been through 1 Holocaust in Iraq, survived, came to Israel to go through it again. So don't forget them. This Monday, we're organizing a photo shoot outside a couple of places related with Qatar and with Egypt to ask them to do everything they can in their mediation and all the efforts that they've been doing to release our hostages. And I will be sending information later, and I really hope some of you can come or tell your friends that maybe can come and support them. I would like to invite Ziv Zellinger, Deputy Head of Delegation from the Jewish Agency. Thank you.
Shalom, Erev Tov, Shavua Tov. Thank you, Nivi. So as Nivi introduced me, I'm Ziv. I'm the Deputy Head of the Delegation for the Jewish Agency here in the UK. And we're very honored to be a part of this evening. So thank you again, Nivi, for having us. Jaffe is the biggest Jewish nonprofit in the world. And we work to connect Jews in Israel, with Israel, and to Israel, and while we work in different communities around the world. In the UK, we work in schools, including this very one, youth movements, and on college campuses. And we have with us tonight some of our incredible shlichim, the row over there. As we're about to conclude the ceremony tonight, we invite you to stay with us and join for a discussion, processing, and reflection on current events in Israel. Following the anthems, we will take a short break, and we will split into 3 groups. One of them will be here, and 2 will be across the hall. So we invite you to please stay and join us. And thank you again so much for having us and for being here tonight.
I invite all the speakers to join me on the stage to just sing the anthems if you'd like. And Vadim Blumin from the Jewish Agency that's been doing above and beyond to make this happen. And Adrian, the president of Labor Friends of Israel, please come and join us. Thank you for all your ongoing support.
נפש יהודי הומייה ופתי מזרח קדימה עין לציון צופיה לא אבדה תקוותנו תקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים. God save our gracious King, long live our noble King. God save the King, send him victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the King.
9 o'clock, we'll reconvene, and if you didn't sign the welcome home cards, please do, and thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much.